energy standard, Ms. Diane Byram of the Michigan Energy, Michigan Jobs.
Thank you very much. Michigan Energy, Michigan Jobs is Proposal 3 that you'll find on your ballot this year, and it's really about Michigan's future. Currently, Michigan has an Energy Act that was passed in 2008, and at that time, it took our utilities, which were unregulated at that point. They operated in a competitive free market and remonopolized them. So I'm talking specifically about 90% of our power in this state comes from the Detroit Edison Company and Consumers Energy. Obviously, in this region, I'm talking to Detroit Edison. So in 2008, the utilities came back to the legislature and they said, please make us a monopoly again. That means they are a monopoly on the generation of electricity, and they're a monopoly on who they purchase electricity from. And for that re-regulation, they gave up 10% customer choice and 10% renewable energy. So since 2008, we have had an Energy Act that called for a 10% renewable energy standard. And so what's happened? It's worked extremely well. They are on pace to meet that requirement ahead of schedule 2015. So what this proposal says is let's not stop. Let's continue to invest in Michigan's future by increasing the renewable energy standard to 25% by the year 2025. That continues the gradual incremental increase of about 1.5% a year from 2015 to 2025. Annually, the Michigan Public Service Commission, which is the entity that oversees the regulation of utility rates in our state, takes a look at the implementation of Public Act 295 in 2008, the energy law. And what the Public Service Commission has said is that it has gone extremely smoothly, and the cost of renewable energy, it continues to come down. And in fact, today, renewable energy of all devices is cheaper than building a new coal plant, and it is equal to the construction cost of natural gas. So the proposal is very simplistic in what it's trying to do. It says Michigan has a renewable energy standard of 25% by the year 2025. We don't redefine what renewable energy is. It's the same definition as in current law. It's wind, solar, biomass, and hydro. To make sure that ratepayers are protected, there is a 1% hard cap. That 1% cap for the cost of this proposal cannot exceed more than $1.25 a month for a residential ratepayer. Today, there is a cap in Michigan's current law. It's a flat per meter charge per month, $3.50 for a residential ratepayer. We know that is way too high, so we cap it at 1%. Those are the two changes in the Energy Act. We leave the implementation up to the Michigan legislature, and our proposal is written so that it folds right into the current energy law with those minor amendments. 25% by 2025, 1% rate cap. Additionally, we instruct the legislature to hire Michigan workers and to source with Michigan manufactured products. So what does this mean for Michigan? Well, first of all, there are 8,000 parts in a wind turbine, and every one of those parts can be built and manufactured in Michigan. And that's what we're known for. The birth of the auto industry provided Michigan with a wealth of manufacturing labor, engineering, and know-how, and machine shops across Michigan that can be retooled and put people back to work, or they can expand existing lines and manufacture every single one of those 8,000 parts. And in fact, under the 10% current law of renewable energy, that's exactly what's going on. The Michigan Public Service Commission has said that the first 10% has resulted in $100 million in investment in Michigan, and it has created jobs. And I'm quoting right from that Public Service Commission report. So we've got companies like in Southeast Michigan that are creating the high-tech generators for wind turbines. We have companies in Monroe that are making the towers for the turbines. We have a currently it is a yacht company making big luxury boats. And with the down economy, they have retooled, so they're making the blades for turbines. We have a machine shop in mid-Michigan that historically has made parts for implements and for natural gas industry that are now machining the hubs for turbines. So this will result in jobs for Michigan residents and putting Michigan's manufacturing know-how and power back to work. Michigan State University just did a study and took a look at the jobs. This is an independent study. And what they said was the full implementation of this 25% standard will result in 74,000 jobs in construction and maintenance, just for this renewable piece. If you add the manufacturing element into it, we could be looking upwards to 94,000 jobs right here in Michigan. And this is really significant because right now, the majority of Michigan's electric power comes from coal. In fact, almost 60% of our power in Michigan comes from burning coal. And when you burn coal, you burn cash. And I say that because none of Michigan does not have any coal within our state boundaries. We import 100% of that coal. $1.7 billion last year, in 1 year. $1.7 billion we shipped out of our state to benefit the economies of West Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Wyoming. And all of that coal had to be transported into Michigan by rail car. This past summer, DTE raised its rates 14%. And you know why? According to their filing with the Michigan Public Service Commission, it was because of the cost of transportation. So we're not only importing coal, but we're also spending the high dollar for fuel. And everyone knows that the cost of transportation is not going to go down. If anything, it's going to go up. And it's very unpredictable. But if you invest in renewable energy, once you have that investment, once that turbine is up, there are 20-year contracts. You have a fixed cost for 20 years on the generation of that electricity. And so we're saying, let's continue that investment in Michigan's future. Let's put Michigan workers back to work. Let's turn that $1.7 billion over into Michigan's economy. And in addition to that, you have significant health impacts for the benefit, for the positive of Michigan citizens. NAACP did a report about a year ago. It was called Cold Blooded. And it took a look at the health impacts in communities of color and in communities with low income. There's significant health costs in terms of increased asthma rates for kids. And as an educator, you know full well, if kids are suffering with asthma, they have a lot of absences from school.
Absolutely.
Mercury is a neurotoxin on young babies, so it affects their brain development. Also, the toxic chemicals that come out of the smokestacks of coal plants have significant impacts on heart and lung disease for senior citizens. So this has a tremendous positive impact on Michigan's environment. Our coalition is very broad-based. It has labor unions. We just this past weekend received the endorsement of the UAW. We have the endorsement of the NAACP. We have environmental group endorsements. I've got a colleague here today, Desmond, with the Sierra Club. Small businesses, faith and civic groups are all supporting this ballot proposal. So as I close and ask you to please, Desmond's passing out these brochures, and on the inside is a poster that you can hang up at your place of business, your window at home, to make sure that people understand that vote yes, Michigan Energy, Michigan Jobs. I encourage you to go to our website and pull down a lot of great information. Everything on our website is sourced by where we give that information so that we stand behind the facts that we publish. It's 25 by 2025. So I'm here today to share some information and hope that you will all join with me in supporting Proposal 3. And then Desmond wanted to say a few things before I finish. So Desmond, I'll turn the floor over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just kind of wanted to come to you from a youth perspective. Understanding that children are dying from asthma more nowadays than any other time in history, and that Michigan gets about 60% of its energy from coal, which is a direct pollutant and which is the biggest carbon emitter in the air like actually 81%. Coal actually accounted for 13,000 premature deaths from asthma last year. And I think it is an injustice that our children must suffer simply because of a lack of renewable energy. And I think that we must do something now. See, like, I grew up with asthma, and I vividly remember every single hospital visit. I remember every single time I saw my parents' faces when they saw me struggling to breathe. And I remember every single time that hospital bill came in. I think if we want to keep Michigan's parents from having to experience these feelings, then it is so essential that we do something now, and that we make a long-term plan with this 25 by 25 to make